This room is called My Last Summer because this is what I've seen last summer. That's my girlfriend whom I met last summer. That's my brother who died last summer. And that's something that I saw last summer in a place where I was for like a week. But then I didn't take any photo or anything, so it was all by memory. I was on this island called Vulcano, just off Sicily. I was getting back home from, I spent the whole night out, and I needed to go to the loo. And so I went into these people's house and asked them if I could use their loo, and there was the light in their bathroom was very fascinating. So I was taking a piss and looking at the light. And then I remembered the whole thing like a month later, and so I tried to recreate it. It is all about remembering. Something that I've just learned, that I'm learning now, if I was to translate it into a work of art, I wouldn't do it immediately because it has to grow inside me, and so that then I can look at it through the filter of memory. I haven't studied like properly art, history and so on, so, but I've always been very fascinated because I was good at drawing, so I would spend whole days looking at images on art books, especially Renaissance paintings, like Piero della Francesca, very spiritual. Especially in Italy, they used to work. Like each painting would be made up of lots of different paintings. And that's something that has always fascinated me. Most of them have a little name at the bottom, which isn't meant to be a title. It's because I wanted them each picture to be like a snapshot made with one of those cameras that record the date and the name and things. They are more meant to be like the name of the place where I've taken this photo. But most of the time they are just made up. It just sounded like that painting. That's something that I was in China, it was in Beijing. I was having a tea in my hotel, which is one of maybe the last remaining traditional looking Chinese hotel in the whole of Beijing. The waitress had collapsed on the desk and she was having a nap there. What I'm trying to do is to build bridges between all these islands. There are differences, and also differences in terms of time, like past and present and future. So putting all these elements on the same level. So in actual fact, it's always a mixture of past, present, and also from how I imagine the future could be. The name of the installation is Fruits from an Ocean Nearby. The first time I made an installation like this was in Venice, 2005, where I wanted to make a really complex work, something that I had worked on a lot, but that people would find really hard to see and possibly even miss completely. The idea was recreating a room in the minutest details, that in that case was like an 18th century drawing room. And the access to the whole work would have been like a little window. There was basically a door with a glass. So it felt like a drawing. And it was in a way like making a three-dimensional version of the paintings. And here is more or less the same. The difference with the one in Venice is that in Venice it was a place that had been abandoned for a long time. So nature had taken over, while in this case it's like a moment of madness. So this talks about a human being, where this guy has decided to make a sandcastle that he started as a little one, and then he lost the plot and made bigger and bigger, so that he had to even put an extension to the desk. And he has been living in this room for a while. In fact, you can see like there is all the leftovers from his meals, and then lots of cigarette stubs, and so it's like working this way. It allows you to work in layers, putting layers of things, like little obstacles. So it's like a game in a way. Little obstacles between the viewer and the view. The other room is called 23 Days of Bad Sound and Grey Sky, because I made all the work in that room in New York in 23 days. I have very noisy neighbors, and the sky is being grey most of the time. Part of the charm of working with especially drawings is the fact that you can, by looking at a drawing, you can see what that person that made it was thinking at every little point of the drawing. And that's really fascinating, because it talks about the person who made it rather than other things. And to me, art is about people, about us, no? That's the only reason to want to be part of it, to try and find a new way to look at things. The task of philosophy is to try and explain a mystery, while the task of art is totally the opposite, is pointing at new mysteries, new dark spots, new dark things that you had not seen before.